If I had one word to use to describe Chris Johnson, it would be tenacious.
Enthusiastic.
Persistence.
Very honest and very persistent.
Enigmatic.
Scholar.
Tenacious. I grew up in a logging town in Oregon, and basically it was a very conservative town, but I was never one that liked to follow all the rules. So I got into music. When I went to college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had a tendency to go towards medicine, but I took a class where there was a vision perception laboratory. And from that point on, I did my graduate work in neuroscience and visual perception and electrophysiology, and wanted to apply it to real-world principles. And that's when I did a fellowship, a postdoctoral fellowship, in an ophthalmology department. And I just fell in love with it, and I've been there ever since.
So Chris is a leader in understanding how people's visual perception matches their anatomy. He's a real leader in making all of these very intricate psychophysical testing available to people who are clinicians like me and make it make sense.
When things go wrong with the visual system, you really have to have a good basic understanding of mechanisms of visual physiology, how someone responds to different types of visual stimuli, how to interpret them, how to set up testing so it's reliable and reproducible. And that's Chris's wheelhouse. He comes to our morning clinical conference in neuro-ophthalmology every morning, and he's a valuable resource for helping us interpret different types of tests that we do, but also developing new tests.
He's been the main psychophysicist over the years who's been able to translate knowledge from basic psychophysics to clinical testing.
Chris has spent his career really making an impact in a variety of areas, but I think when he turned his attention to visual field testing and automated perimetry, that was where he just soared and had enormous impact that really affects how we practice optometry every day.
He's one of the real gods of perimetry, visual field testing, and for the last 10 years he's been on our faculty, which has been just a great gift to all of us.
I think Chris probably has made some of the biggest contributions to automated visual fields of anybody in the world. He's done a lot of things. He's a very innovative guy. And as Mike Wall from Iowa would say, he's smarter than all of us combined and knows psychophysics probably as well as anybody in the world right now.
I believe Chris Johnson pioneered lots of areas of glaucoma, and particularly progression of visual field loss. One of the problems for people who have glaucoma is their peripheral vision is lost. And he has been active for many, many years in pioneering ways to actually monitor any loss of vision.
Chris has an outstandingly large body of research that he's been involved in, a huge number of publications, many of them very highly cited in good journals throughout his career. He's had external funding for his research throughout almost his entire career.
I do consider myself a scientist, but I like a certain phrase. Take what you do very seriously, but don't take yourself so seriously.
One of the ways in which you can judge a scientist and their contributions is the ripple effect of that work. I think with Chris, there are so many aspects to that. So yes, he's developed equipment that we take for granted in everyday clinical examinations, but I think the true gift that Chris has given to us is his mentorship.
Chris has quite the checkered history.
The rock band I was in, our photograph is in the very first issue of Rolling Stone.
He's played keyboard since he was in high school. He actually worked his way through college playing keyboard.
We were a warm-up band for many of the mainstream players, such as the Chambers Brothers, the Yardbirds, Roxy Music, and most of all, many times, the Grateful Dead.
So Chris is not an optometrist, and I think many people may be confused about that. But he has been so engaged with the American Academy of Optometry, receiving first the Fry Award. He was chair of the awards committee for many years, and it's unusual for someone who isn't part of the profession per se to become that engaged with an optometric organization, and I really love him for that.
If I had one word to describe Chris, it would be entertaining. Let me think about that. Do I want to choose another word, though?